Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my contour and kind of highlight routine. This is great for those of you who don't love a super glammed up and high maintenance type of look. A no makeup contouring routine, if you will. Okay, so I already have just my foundation on and I'm going to go in with my concealer. Today I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me concealer in the new shade 5 Ivory. For this, I'm just going to be focusing kind of on the inner corners. I'll put a little bit under there. Focusing your concealer in kind of a diagonal downwards way will really help to bring forward any kind of sunken in lines that you might have there. And I just like to bring my fingers kind of upwards near the sides of my eyes just so I can lift my face a little bit. So we're gonna come back to highlighting in a second, but I do want to do a couple contouring steps first. So I like both powder and like cream contours. For powder, I really like this Smashbox contour palette, and I just use this contour shade right here. I actually think this is the deeper shade. Somebody gifted this to me. And I also like these two stick contours. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation stick in the shade Fawn, which is meant to be a contouring stick. And from the drugstore, I really like the Maybelline Master Contour, which has like a contour on one side and a highlight stick on the other side, which I don't usually use that too much. So something that I tend to do a little bit differently is I actually put my cream contours on my brush versus on my face and then blending it out with the brush. I find that when I do the typical, line, those lines just, no matter how much I blend, they still look a little bit harsher and darker than I want them to. So what I actually do is color my brush. That way the product is just already evenly distributed on the brush and I can get a softer look. So for my cheekbone area, I kind of already have like a natural shadow here, so I'm just gonna follow that. And I'm starting in the center. Some people start up here by their hairline, but I like to start right in the center because that is naturally where the shadow is the darkest. Patting motions if you don't want to move your foundation around. I know that I have a lot of acne scars here, so I do have some concealer on. I don't want to move that around too much, so I'm kind of doing like a patted drag motion. That was a whole lot easier than me trying to blend out a really harsh line that I drew on my face, and it's very subtle, very, very natural. As I get closer to my hairline, I'm very, very light-handed with the brush and just kind of going upwards into the hairline, just to blend it all together. I'm just gonna do the same thing around my forehead. If you don't have a kind of large forehead that you're trying to shorten, then I actually wouldn't recommend contouring your forehead at all. Like, people do this to shorten their forehead. I tend to have a semi-large forehead, so I do like to do it a little bit. Again, very subtle is what I'm going for. Now, I do like to do my jawline as well, but I like to use a different brush. So the one that I was using for my face was still kind of skinny, but definitely fluffy. The one that I use for my jawline is more skinny like this. This is actually just a foundation brush, and I actually like to use powder for my jawline. I don't know why, just every time that I use cream on my jawline, I feel like it is a little bit more obvious. I'm just gonna take my powder contour shade and I'm gonna hold the brush sideways like this and just coat the very, very edge of the brush. I like to start right behind my ear because I really want to accentuate the very, very angle of my jaw. So I'm gonna come down straight and then come down straight across like that. So I've literally done 1, 2. I don't take it all the way over in one go. I just like to do the very, very corners first, and then I'll worry about connecting it. So now I'm gonna do the same thing, get that on the edge of my brush, and I'm gonna start under my chin and just very, very lightly connect those lines. Now on this side of my face, I don't know if you can tell, but my jawline, I kind of have like a very small pocket of, I guess, fat. It makes my jawline look not quite as straight as the other side. So I like to just bring the color up onto my face just a tiny bit, like literally a tiny bit, just to straighten out that little kind of bump that I have right there. Probably can't even tell, I'm probably being very picky. And then I do like to take it a little bit under my chin, and I just go over all of that with a sponge because I just want to make sure it looks as natural as possible. And I should have mentioned, really, you can apply your cream contour on your sponge as well and then go in. Same premise, works with a sponge as it does with coloring the brush first. So that is typically what I do for contouring. I don't often contour my nose, so I will show you what I do, but I typically don't always do this. I'll just take a little bit on that edge of the brush again, that skinny brush, and just do a little bit here. A little bit on the other side. Connect it underneath. So for some highlighting, I'm going to be using a kind of like pot concealer. I don't know, this is just really easy for me. This is the MAC Studio Finish Concealer in NC10, and I'm using a pretty small, like kind of angled brush. This is the Sigma Winged Liner Brush, but I'm using it for my face. So I am going to apply some of that lightness right under my brow bone to help lift my face a little bit. And I don't know if it made a huge difference, but you might be able to tell that this eye is just looking a little bit more lifted than this one. And I also use the same brush and the same concealer to highlight around my lips. I find that that can make them look a little bit more plump without overdrawing too much. I'm not a super huge fan of highlighter in the sense of like a sparkly powder highlighter. Recently, I just haven't really been reaching for it. I feel like the concept of highlighting and contouring for me is more about highlighting my features and not actually applying a lot of highlighter. So all I'm gonna do is take this Essence Pure Nude highlighter and my sponge and just apply a little bit on the cheekbones just to make them pop a little bit. Okay guys, that is actually the end of this video. I hope that this was helpful. This is really the maximum that I would do for kind of a highlighting and contouring routine. I think it looks pretty natural. On a really basic day, all I would do is just my cheekbones and around this part of my jawline, but here it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. You can always subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I put out new ones every single week. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.